schoolers. We had a great time, and it was a big success, especially with the middle schoolers. They like to sing to all our songs really loudly. And our musical is on its way, and it's happening. The Annie rehearsals are ongoing. I don't remember the date specifically for when it is, but it's in March, I think. Other clubs, Mock Trial has officially dished out their roles, and I think, Mark, I'm going to take you up on your offer to make a presentation about the clubs and stuff at a future meeting. And Model UN is hosting a mini Model UN at the end of January. Cool. Tonight, registration for Project Passport closes, which is a pretty cool thing. It's basically helping kids get their passport. It was specifically, I think, created by our Social Studies Enrichment Fund, which is the fund dedicated towards our Europe trip, which happens at the end of this school year. But it is also extended towards the community and is happening at the Spark of Hudson. But yeah, that registration closes tonight. And tomorrow, we have a bowling field trip, which was set up by our gym teachers, and very excited for that. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay, presentations. District technology updates and smart school investments. Good evening. In case you don't know who I am for the community, my name is Cheryl Rabinowitz, and I'm the Manager of Instructional Technology. I'm very excited tonight to present to you some district technology updates, as well as an overview of our Smart Schools investment plan. Everything we do, you have seen this in the past in presentations, we always have everything aligned with the 6 keys of school improvement. Whether it's technology, DEI, school improvement, whatever it is, we make sure we're aligned. We thank Dr. Pennyman for bringing this to us, and it really keeps our eye on the ball. Tonight I'm going to speak to you about the technology progress in the district for the last couple of years. It's important to know because we have a few new administrators, few new staff members, community members, students, and the district has made a lot of progress. And we continue to want to make progress, but we always like to reflect back on what progress has been made. The next thing is we're going to talk to you about the student tech for overview, and we'll also talk to you about the district technology committee, the plan moving forward, and an overview of our Smart Bond Schools investment plan. So this is very important. Without further ado, we always like to acknowledge everyone for their collaboration and supporting the technologies for the students and the staff. We wouldn't be here with the technology that we have in the district if we didn't have the support of the board members and the superintendent, Dr. Pennyman, and the district staff and the building administration. I won't read you everything, but you all should pat yourselves on the back. Whether you were sitting on the board, you were a past community member, a current community member, it doesn't really matter. There's been a lot of support, and this is how we've been able to do what we've done over the last couple of years. Because if you were to hit rewind, some of you may remember during the pandemic, the district technology was really in rough shape. Are we perfect? No. Do we still have things to do? Absolutely. But we just want to acknowledge that a lot of progress has been made, and that's thanks to everyone working together. So I won't read to you everything, but just give you some heavy lifts. These are some of the things that were done during those school years, okay? Again, very important because our technology wasn't holding up. We had a pandemic going on. Students had poor Chromebooks. The displays weren't working. The devices weren't working. So we really got together and did all of these things. Okay, we installed new network switches. We upgraded the server room. Again, I'm not going to read everything, but just some key pieces. We hired 2 in-house computer service specialists, and we centralized all our software. That was very important because the district had a lot of software, but we wanted to make sure that we knew what software we had. It was tied into New York State Ed Law 2D. We wanted to make sure that we were in compliance, and we're continuing to monitor software. The district, our cabinet, our teachers, we're going to be working on looking at the software that we currently have and continuing, we do it every year, continuing to see, does it meet our needs? Or is it being used? The next year, the next couple of years, we upgraded the cabling in the network closets. We developed a cybersecurity plan. Again, I'm not reading everything to you, but just giving you some ideas. We upgraded the camera system. Our security camera system was in rough shape. So we upgraded it. We still have more to go, and you're going to hear about that this evening. We implemented Wordly, the language translation program. And I worked with Dr. Pressy, and we assisted with the district with the pronunciations, and we're very excited about that, and there's more that needs to happen. And we also implemented our student tech crew, and Thomas was part of that, which was great. Where we are today, this past school year, which starts in July, we integrated Branching Minds, Achieve 3000, Atlas Software, Staff Track, and ClassLink with our eSchool data and our ClassLink program. And that's pretty important so that our information flows back and forth. We're working out any kinks if data is flowing over. That shouldn't be, but it still makes it easy for our students and staff to access the programs. In the past, we had another cybersecurity awareness training program. This one we just recently purchased. It was called CyberNut. It was earlier in the summer that we purchased it, and it could be used for students as well as staff, so that's a really good plus, helping them build their skills with cybersecurity. As you are aware, we kicked off the Verizon program. We're very excited about that. That was able to provide resources to our students and our staff. We provided Chromebooks. The Chromebooks have cellular data. We've provided 2 instructional technology coaches. Part of it was district funding, part of it was Verizon funding, but that was important, and you'll see in a little while why it was important to have instructional technology coaches. This year we also developed a student family handbook, and we're developing a staff technology handbook. That it's one-stop shopping, it'll be electronic, so that all the staff and the students can access everything. They can see everything, they know, parents as well. And we also provided staff development on superintendent's conference days. Again, there are other things there, but I just kind of wanted to give you a sense. Funding, in case anyone asks, where does funding come for technology? Part of it's general fund, part of it is E-rate, part of it is donations, and part of it is grants. And we're very excited about that because we can do a lot with what we have, and we have done a lot. This just gives you an idea. When you look at this, we like to look at data. This is what we currently have in the district. We have staff laptops, about 230. Now, those are the ones that most of the teachers use and a few of the administrators have. They were purchased in 2020. So as we move ahead, we'll be assessing when we need to either purchase a laptop or a Chromebook, but we do have that in the district. Chromebooks, the number is big because we upgraded the Chromebooks, then we were awarded the grant, but they don't go to waste. We use them for computerized testing, we use them for daily loaners, if a student misplaces a Chromebook, so they're constantly being used. We have a Chromebook cart that we bring here for the board meeting, so we're in pretty good shape, both at the junior high school and high school campus, as well as the elementary. Also, Chromebooks are in classrooms like art rooms and things like that, so they can use technology if a student forgets a Chromebook. Software programs. So you heard me mention that we have a lot of software. Right now we have about 130 programs, plus free programs, okay? They're all New York State Ed Law 2D compatible. We are looking at them, we continue to look at them, we want to make sure they're used, but they're for administration as well as teachers and classrooms, so instruction and non-instruction. This right here, just to give you an idea, nothing really happens that we try not to help. So when I say we try not to help, we have a technology staff, we have, and I won't read you all of those, but just to give you an idea, we have myself, the instructional technology manager, and I'm also the data protection officer. We have a network systems engineer from NERIC, and we have computer service specialists, the two that we got 4 years ago, and then one this year through the Verizon. And we need that because they support everything that you've seen. And we always continually make sure, this is one of the things I meet with the department regularly, we always want to make sure that it's seamless for the user. That's really important. We don't want staff, teachers, administrators being interrupted if they're presenting or they're teaching or whatever they're doing. Do things happen? Sure. But when they call the technology department or they put in a help desk ticket, we do our best to address the issues. And we're continuing to improve on that. Our focus really is high quality customer service. Students and staff come first. And we also reflect, Dr. Pennyman is wonderful. She works with us, makes sure we're reflecting and guiding us and so forth. So that helps too, because again, nothing is perfect, but we're working there. We're very proud of what we've done so far as a district, not Cheryl, as a whole district with technology. Okay. Student tech crew. Okay. So a couple of years back, we had one student tech crew cohort, one. We had about 20 students in it, and it's grown over the last couple of years. We're very excited about that. So now we're up to 3 cohorts. The first cohort of grade 9 through 12 students who are in their 2nd and 3rd year, which is nice, the 3rd year of the program. Cohort 2, and they also have their computer repair certification that they can use when they graduate. They go out there. It's the same certification our technicians have, which is very nice. Cohort 2 are students who are in their 1st year of the program. So they work in the IT department. Remember all that? He's shaking his head, yeah. They work in the IT department. They do everything that it takes to work in an IT department. If you click on this link, it will show you, or I can pull it up here. Basically, it breaks it down into more detail, okay? Won't read it to you, but just to explain, cohort 1 and 2 work under the advisor, Mrs. Bender, who's the teacher, and they also work with the instructional technology coach, Mr. Lynch, and they work in the IT department. So they have a lot of people working with them. Cohort number 3, I'll switch back to that. That's new this year as well. That's our grade 8 students, and we may even be bringing it down to grade 6 and 7. We wanted to start with grade 8. Those students are doing digital media announcements. So we're really bringing them ahead. We can't have them certified yet. They'll do some basic troubleshooting, but the Dell program or the program that we use starts in high school. But we're having a cadre of students, so when they go to the high school, they've already been exposed to it. Okay. District Technology Committee update. We have a very collaborative working committee. We convened in 2020, and we met virtually. They're comprised of students and parents and community members, faculty, administration, and I really want to thank them for all their hard work. They meet, I would say, a few times a year, and it's a volunteer committee, and it's a working committee. And what they did the first couple of years is they developed a 3-year technology plan that's on our website. This year, believe it or not, we're getting ready to do the next 3-year technology plan, and we're very excited about that. But when we did that 3-year technology plan, we used data sources. Some of you may remember, we had an IT audit, and they found different things, so we made sure that we were implementing that as we were making improvements. We also surveyed our students, our staff, and our community, and from the feedback, that also helped us drive our technology plan. And then we have the New York State Digital Equity Surveys, as well as the IT department. The IT department, myself, and the technicians, as well as our BOCES partners, did assessments. So all of that went into our tech plan. Okay, so the goals, you've seen them, you've heard them before, but I kind of want to tell you where we are with them. So, goal 1, we've already met that. It was providing appropriate instructional technology tools to the school community for teaching, learning, and productivity. And all of those actions were completed. Goal 2 and 3, providing professional development to teachers, administrators, and support staff. And goal 3, ensuring student proficiency. Are we there yet? No, but it's very exciting that with the Verizon grant, with the instructional technology coaches, we are able to really have staff members support our teachers and our students with whatever they need regarding instructional technology. So that's really exciting. We're very excited about that. So it's in process. And whether it's modeling a lesson in the classroom, meeting with a teacher, helping them develop a lesson, helping them develop a lesson on cybersecurity, it's all very exciting for us. Goal 4, and that's the one you're going to hear a little bit more about tonight. So goal 4 in our technology plan that we wrote a few years ago was upgrading the wireless network infrastructure, upgrading the security camera system, upgrading the phone system. And our recommendation, which you're going to hear, is to use our Smart Schools funding for a variety of reasons. Okay. This year, the Technology Committee will be focusing on making recommendations for policies. We're developing a software form. Dr. Courtwright-Torres and I began drafting it so that technology and curriculum are aligned. So once the form is created, we'll share it with the board. Basically, the idea of it is that when staff, administrators would like to purchase a program, there's a process for them to complete to make sure it's completed, filled out, it's budgeted for, is there a demo that's needed, and it goes through all the proper channels. So we're excited about that. As I mentioned, we're going to be developing district technology surveys for the next 3 years. That will go out to staff and families and students next month. It should be, I'm coordinating that with Dr. Pressey, and that will be sent out, and it will ask the district, again, their feedback on how they would like to see technology in the district as we move ahead. And we'll also be updating the cybersecurity incident response plan, and we'll be exploring more instructional technology resources. So do you have any questions? Yes.
I do. Regarding the student tech crew,
Yes.
how does a student become aware to be a part of it? Is that an
Sure,
elective class?
absolutely. So it's done a variety of ways. In the fall, well, let me even back up. When we did the Verizon kickoff, we had our student tech crew working there and giving out information. That was the first one. Then when the students got together in the beginning of the year when they do their clubs, there was a table there with a computer technician, a couple of our student tech crew members recruiting students. And then the teacher, Mrs. Bender, also recruits students, and the guidance department knows, so it continues like that. And it's also word of mouth. A student will see another student helping in a classroom, or, what's that? What did you do? And that's how it starts.
So it's a club?
It's a class for grades 9 through 12. It's a club for, not even a club, they do it during study hall in grade 8.
Okay.
But they can join, not right then and there. They might have to wait till the next semester, but,
Okay.
and they get credit for it.
Okay.
Yes.
I was just going to add that in your course signups, it's an option, and you can sign up for it for the next school year or next semester. And it's completely whenever you're available. So if you have a study hall 4th period on gold days, you can do it then. And there's the only regulation that you have for it is that you have to be there at least once a week, and you have to have a free time to do it. And you get a grade for it. It used to be pass-fail when I did it for a little bit, but now you get an actual grade for it. And with the Dell certification steps that you take, Ms. Bender assigns assignments and tests along with the actual passing of the certification.
Thank you, Thomas. Appreciate that. And besides the Dell Chromebooks, because now we have the Verizon Chromebooks, which are made by CTL, our technicians are showing the students. Pretty much they're similar, but they're slightly different in the way they repair, so they're also learning how to do that as well. Okay. Were there any other questions?
What
Excuse me.
grade do Chromebooks start being distributed?
Oh, so we are a one-to-one district, so everyone from pre-K up have Chromebooks.
Right, okay.
Yes.
So the younger grades, they just keep them in the classrooms?
They keep them in the classroom up until about grade 5. Grade 5 sends them out. Grade 3 and grade 4 can send them out, and they will send them out on special projects.
Gotcha.
And when we collect those forms, we collect them from all the students, so they're ready to roll.
Great. This isn't a question, just a comment, but
Sure.
all the digital signage and the screens around the school make a big difference, and everybody does a great job with that, so thank you.
Yes, very excited about that, and, you know, we're very thankful to Dr. Pennyman, and we've been able to support the district doing that, and as we move ahead, we like to continue to enhance it, you know, as time sees right. And also, I didn't mention, but when you said that, we're also happy to tape the board meeting, working with you guys on that too, and, you know, we're gonna do something with these wires, but we'll get there.
Well, thank you.
That's right. Okay, so my next part of my presentation, I'll be presenting along with some colleagues, okay? So this is where we're gonna give you an overview of the Smart Schools Investment Plan. And also, I always like to level set and give back some history. So before the pandemic, and I wasn't here at that juncture, but before the pandemic, the district did just start to go down that way. They know they needed to utilize the monies for the SMART bond, and they started to explore and do different things. And then the pandemic happened, you know, and then that was the end of that for that. Then when I came in the district, and you'll hear a little bit more, again, we had lots of different things going on, but we also didn't have a technology plan. And in order to get this, you need to have a technology plan. So that's when the first couple of years we worked on the technology plan, and then, you know, we had demos, we had different things come in, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But we also had administration change, and we wanted to wait until Dr. Pennyman came, you know, to make sure, because she was coming to our district, and there might be some other things that she would like to include in the SMART bond, you know, and she's been very supportive. And over the last year, we worked together with a team of individuals, which were from the technology committee, from the buildings, from the staff, from the community, and we had some demonstrations of various programs and various vendors, and we were using the data from those first, as I mentioned, those different things that we had in the beginning. That's what was telling us what we needed to do in the district, you know. And because also when you hear about these things, these aren't the costs of Chromebooks, they're a little bit more. We're not gonna discuss pricing today, we're gonna come back at a later date, and I'll talk to you about that, but that's why we decided to go this way. All right, so just to give a background, New York State voters, not necessarily Hudson, you know, all the voters throughout the whole New York State, in 2014 authorized the issuance of a $2 billion general obligation bond to provide educational technology improvements to schools. Hudson's allocation is $1,771,233. I can't even say, sorry, my voice is going. Again, it was a collaborative process. I mentioned that to you. We were very excited about that. And what we have to do is we're gonna be developing a SMART bond plan. And basically, the information that you're gonna hear about tonight and all the demos that we had, we already have that information, and we're gonna place it in here once we get, you know, the go-ahead. Then we will submit it, and then we'll go through the steps with you. So I just wanna tell you what's kinda coming. Okay, so that's what that is. Okay, so the focus areas we knew we had a focus on for technology were the high-tech security features, and we'll explain what that is, and the school connectivity. Okay, part of the requirement, again, I mentioned, the Smart Schools Bond Plan must be aligned with the technology plan. You saw, I showed you how it's aligned, so we're good. And there again is the goal, okay? And our recommendation is to upgrade our security camera system. We did a phase 1 where we implemented a few cameras and software and servers because they were in bad shape, but we still have a lot more to go. So we want to utilize the money for that. Also upgrading our phone system. Our phone system is old, and with security on, you know, everyone's mind in general, we just want to make sure we have the best for our students and staff. and also updating the PA systems, and you're going to hear a little bit about that, and also structured cabling, which basically means when you do a project like this, you have to upgrade some of the cabling. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Tyler. Tyler's going to speak to you about the security camera upgrades.
Thank you, Cheryl. Good evening, folks. So actually, this started for me last year before we were going to figure out that we were going to use some of this money for the Smart Bond. So we did a full assessment with Day Automations, which is our camera vendor, which was about a week long of walking through each building, checking out every single camera, its location, you know, what it could see, what it couldn't see, and so on and so forth. So with that said, we purchased the software and the server. We converted all the cameras that we had currently over to the software, which is working pretty good. The only issue is, you know, obviously we couldn't convert all the cameras at one time, right? So we're waiting on the funds to do so. So with that said, we installed 16 new cameras, right? Most of them went to high trafficked areas in the high school, which was, you know, areas that we couldn't really see on a daily basis. The entire front of the junior and senior high school also got new cameras. The cafeteria, which was another high traffic area. And also, which was big to me, was the visitor management, which we gave cameras to the junior and the senior high front doors. The front doors weren't locked at, you know, when I got here, and I thought that was, you know, something that we could definitely upgrade right away. So what we did was we allowed the greeters, which sit at the front door, to lock the front door, give them camera access to just that camera so that they can see who's ringing the doorbell and coming to the door before they actually approach the window. So that was mostly, you know, the big thing for, you know, phase one, I guess you would say, of the camera project. Phase two is going to come from, obviously, us submitting to the Smart Bond, which will be 90% of the upgrade to the camera system. So phase two, obviously, video upgrades and additions to all the cameras. During the assessment, we figured out that there would be 58 new cameras placed. When I say new, I don't mean, you know, we're going to rip the camera down and just put up a new camera. It's more advanced where, you know, if you had a camera on each end of the corridor, now we may take them both down, put one camera in the middle of the corridor, right, with a dual head, and it actually only converts as one license, which saves the district money in the end, right? So when I say 58 new cameras, it's not that we're adding 58 new cameras to 150 cameras that are already there. There's 113 replacement cameras, which were in decent spots, and we just, you know, obviously that's pull and replace. And also Mark down at the elementary building was having some issues with the new software, but that was mainly because of all of our old cameras, and the firmware can't really be updated because they're, you know, they're that age, they're past their useful life. So we're going to actually add another server down there, which will help with the bandwidth and things for him, you know, moving forward. So that's mainly it for the camera system. The door access system that we have now, which is our swipe badges that everybody comes and goes, you know, throughout the building, that will actually also be converted to the same software from the camera systems, which makes them, you know, compatible where, you know, if someone were to break open a door, the camera system would automatically start rolling and send snapshots, you know, either email or via text message to my phone. Licenses, obviously, to ingest all that, we have a lot of doors in the district, so it'll be 53 of those. The good thing is that the licenses aren't an annual. Once you purchase them, you have them. You don't have to pay for them every year. There'd be 3 new access control doors and 43 new monitor doors, the doors that aren't actually being monitored right now. The big thing with the door access system, in my eyes, is that lockdowns, if someone or anybody, even now that we're upgrading the phone system, you know, pulls a lockdown into an event for the school, the door access automatically disables and it doesn't allow someone to come or go, right? So say a faculty member or somebody's out to lunch, all of a sudden we're in a lockdown, they can no longer get into the door, which is a big thing. The interface is user-friendly for the door service, and like I said, it integrates with the camera system moving forward.
And I have to say, Tyler and I and the team, we looked at a lot of different vendors, and he did a lot of walkthroughs, and we really wanted to get
Yeah.
the best, and we wanted to have feedback of what they could provide to us. So
Right.
we mentioned one, but we did see a lot.
The big thing, obviously, we sat on the committee for days, hours, was, what the district has now, what the district is gonna move to, and if it could be compatible, right? We didn't wanna buy something that wasn't gonna be compatible with what we already spent money and invested in. Any questions?
With the cameras now, you mentioned the front doors are actively monitored, or is somebody monitoring the rest of the cameras, or is that only pulled up in case there's an incident of some kind?
So, no, the answer to that question is no. When I'm free and I'm up looking for something and, or the security officers are up, then they're actually looking at cameras. They can look at multiple cameras. There's some things with the new system that you can pull up, 15 cameras and just kind of have like a home screen. So I think it's something for us for the future, especially if we learn to get to a director of security, somewhere coming down those lines. But as of right now, no one's actually sitting down. We're not paying somebody to look at cameras. Anything else? That's it?
Great, thank you so
Okay.
much.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to introduce the guys from Core BTS. Were a huge help for us on our committee. They made life a lot easier for a lot of us. It's Mike Mara and Joe Ciccarelli. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
About the wireless and the phone system and the PA system.
Great,
And then Tyler and I are here to answer questions.
awesome.
All right, good evening. My name is Joe Ciccarelli with Core BTS. This is Mike Mara. For those of you who don't know about Core BTS, we are basically a technology firm. We basically implement enterprise-grade technologies to improve the way organizations do business and the way they function. Okay? Cheryl already gave us a little highlight on some of the things we're going to be talking about here in the Smart Schools Bond. Just real quickly, I'm an account manager with Core. I've been with the company for about 21 years. Mike, go ahead, introduce yourself, your role.
Yeah, I'm Mike American. I'm director of our solutioning technology team, and I've been with Core 18 years as well.
So essentially, I'm just, the main interface for Cheryl and anything she needs from Core, and we kind of work together and talk about smart schools. And we've been doing this actually now for almost 3 years, I think, from the inception of our conversations. Mike's goal is to come in and look at the requirements technically and put together the solution. Okay? So nothing happens without good old structured cabling, right? That's that blue cabling you see going through the ceiling or in the walls, and you're like, where does it go? What does it do? It's basically connecting all these end devices that are ultimately going to be the things that you use and touch as end users, okay? There was a lot of work that we needed to do to support the structured cabling, or the devices, I should say, in the elementary school. If you look there, you can see the things that will be addressed with cabling in each classroom. So a new access point, teacher computer, and the new PA clock unit, which you'll see coming up. Okay? So the way this is structured, by the way, is you'll see an overview of what the solution is, and then the next slide will be just some of the components. So we're looking at about 380 new drops, right? Again, when you start talking 3 drops per classroom and then all the hallway drops you need for different devices, those numbers get up there pretty quickly. New patch panels, J-hooks. This is a little technical jargon, but just gives you an idea of some of the components. So the first, I'm going to skip this because I want to do calling and PA as one because they really comprise your communication system. So we'll look at wireless as a separate entity first. You're all familiar with wireless, basically how it works. It's going to connect those mobile devices you're using right now. Cheryl put up a number north of 3,000 for Chromebooks. So of course, all those devices need a real high density wireless network. This solution that we're installing from Meraki, which is actually a Cisco Systems product. You're probably familiar with Cisco Systems. Nice thing about this is it's really going to take some of the management of your wireless network off the hands of the Hudson crew because it's going to be a cloud-based solution. So what that does is basically make sure that upgrades are always done. You're not doing real expensive forklift upgrades for a wireless controller every 3 or 4 years. You're basically looking at more of a subscription-based service, which will upgrade and grow with the district. Mike, any comments about the wireless?
Yeah, just to add, right, to future-proof, right, when we roll this out, it will be the latest technology. Like any technology, it changes and evolves, gets faster and better. So the technology we're rolling out will be what they call Wi-Fi 7. So if you look that up in the news, you'll see that's the latest technology.
And again, the availability to have this be scalable, meaning grow as you need it, and then be resilient because it is cloud-based. Those are huge things. And again, just the IT department's, daily fires that they're putting out are, end user devices and dealing with process and policy. All that stuff they can focus on and not worry if that wireless controller is going to be up and running or doesn't need to be patched. So some of the components, we're looking at about 235 new Meraki access points. These will be classroom access points. You're going to see 12 that are more of high density spaces, so whether it's auditoriums or cafeterias, things like that. And we've got some outdoor APs to give you some coverage around your buildings, which is important if, say, you're out there with an iPad or another mobile device and you're doing attendance during a fire drill. Just one reason why you might need that outdoor access point capability. And then there's a security appliance to kind of wrap around it. Any questions about the Meraki wireless solution? No? Okay. So I mentioned that we're going to skip and go back to the calling. We're really excited because we think that the next things we're talking about are really going to improve communications throughout the district and also provide a major increase in the health and safety of what you're doing now for your students and your staff. We're going to talk about first your phone system replacement and then your PA and clock replacement and how they all tie in together. So first things first is Cisco WebEx calling. Like the wireless we talked about, the phone system will now also be a cloud-based solution, which again is great because you're always going to be on the latest hardware, software revisions. All that will happen in the cloud. It'll be more of a subscription-based system, and you'll have peace of mind knowing that, hey, we forgot to do these upgrades. Now there's a security issue. All that goes away. Mike?
I think when you look at, so Joe and I work quite a bit in K-12 space, so if you look at some of these features, when we're talking to other school districts, right, I think the number one things we see that people say, hey, I got a texting capability now, which again eliminates using personal text phones and has a record of what's being transmitted. Second call recording, that just comes up as an option a lot, so that you record calls, and there's a lot of policies around that, so there's a lot of decisions to make how you record calls, if you record calls, who does it. And I think the third thing that I see as a lot of districts go through what we call, you've all read about swatting and security incidents like that. So there's behind the scenes, there's a lot of technology that's cloud-based that we can try and eliminate where false calls are coming from to try and eliminate some of those incidents that we see a lot in the news that are false reports.
So some of the components of this system are, of course, new handsets. So you'll see there's two different types of handsets, the 9861 and the 9841. Your 9861 is going to be more of a administrative handset, color display, more line appearances, where your 9841 is more suited for your classrooms. Again, doesn't need the high color display. Same, great voice quality, so on and so forth. The 8832 is going to be your conference room phones. And then, of course, we've got some analog adapters in there to handle conversion of analog signals like a fax machine to IP. So we're going to skip back to your clock and PA project. Okay, so what we found when we did several walkthroughs, and as Cheryl intimated, we did several. So we're definitely familiar with where the shortcomings are. There are going to be some upgrades to the existing junior and senior high PA systems. We didn't have the budget in this project to do the new units, and we'll show you on the next slide, everywhere. That could be like a phase 2 of this project. But we really think with some of the upgrades to the existing junior and senior PA systems will increase that health and safety we talked about. The key here is really the second bullet item. You're going to have one comprehensive district-wide platform. So the ability to page or lock down from anywhere to anywhere. So that's key. You don't want disjointed systems, even in a district as small as 2 buildings. We're going to integrate this clock PA system with your new WebEx calling solution, okay? And we're going to implement something called single wire. If you look at the 4th bullet, that's going to give you emergency notification. It's going to give you bell scheduling. It's going to allow you to do pre-canned lockdown messages. We'll be able to scroll messages over displays. You talked about digital signage, Mark, earlier. So all of that will be wrapped into, again, this new clock PA and phone system. Don't think of it as clock PA phone. It's all one communication system. They all tie in together. Mike, you want to touch on any of these other slides or bullets? Go ahead.
Sure. I think just to rewind back to the phone system, right? We think it's just a traditional phone system. It's really more than that in a K-12 environment now. It becomes a communication device, it becomes a lockdown device. The phones that are coming out, Cisco recognized as a manufacturer that in the K-12 space, we need the ability to silently alert, potentially, right? So if you look at some of the FCC laws that have come down, especially in New York State, there's something called Alyssa's Law. In New York State, as example, right now, Governor Hochul had announced this law as that schools are required to consider silent lockdown capabilities or silent alerting. So on the phones that we are proposing, right, there'll be a dedicated button on the top of that phone. So if you desire to, put a policy out that allows, staff or students or anyone accessible to the phone, right, they can push that button to trigger a whole bunch of sequences of events. And those sequences of events are something that the district will decide how to do that. So as we work with schools a lot, we will sit there and coach and guide schools on, what are those sequences that other schools do, so you can roll those policies out. So again, I just want to highlight it's more than just a phone system. It ties and integrates all together.
Yes, I think, Cheryl, your slide mentioned that this year would be based, it would be focused on policy and procedure. So these lockdown procedures, the policy and procedure is huge. So that's, basically getting stakeholders together and deciding what happens when a button is pushed. You're going to have the capability after we implement all this technology to lock down in any, number of ways that you can imagine. It's just a matter of getting the policies to align with what happens when you push a button or when you dial a number, whatever it is, okay? So the components of a system like this are, what you'll see here is a clock PA combo unit with a high-def display, which you may or may not be able to see if you look at the top white unit. It's got a strobe in the middle, and it's got flashing LED lights that those 2 white bars can flash any color. So you can scroll silent messages on that. You could do interesting things in the hallways. That's the bottom unit where you could scroll, countdown clocks for students to get to class. You could, do niceties like happy birthday wishes or scroll important messages for seniors or the lunch menu, or whatever you wanted to do. Those units in this first phase, we'd be looking at covering some of the hallways. If you look at the second bullet, I mentioned earlier that the budget wasn't there to put one of the units, the top white units, in every classroom. We'd like to get there eventually, because that'll also take away the issue of trying to manage a separate clock system, which can be cumbersome, I know, for a lot of districts as they start to kind of age out. We talked about single wire fusion again, which is your kind of software, your traffic cop that's going to manage all these triggers for alerting. It is going to be that one piece of software that's going to, again, allow you to take any triggers, whether it's dialing a phone number or pushing a wearable panic button, which we've talked about with the district, and then what happens then, right? Do doors get locked down? Do messages scroll? Is the PSAP being dialed immediately? Are canned messages going out over the PA? Single wire fusion is essentially the traffic cop, again, that does all that. And so that's it. Any questions at all? I know we went over a lot. Yes?
I had a
Thomas.
kind of very specific question, but in terms of volume management for the PAs, is there like selective volume control? Because I know that there's select areas in the building where no announcements can be heard and bells can't be heard. So is there specific volume control?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll let the smart guy address that one in terms of the technical questions, but those are all the issues we're going to address with not only the implementation of this new IP system, but the upgrades of the existing analog systems in the high school and junior high.
Yeah, again, part of our process to get to this proposal was to review every location in the district to address, gaps, as you mentioned. So that will be addressed once we roll out the solution. In terms of volume, yes, there's volume controls, so we'll go through that with the district once we roll that system out.
Just to add a couple things. So currently now our junior and senior high PA systems, right, there's a hub in each main office. They're past their useful life, they're obsolete. We cannot turn the amp up any higher. Maybe that's why your question arose.
Yeah, yeah.
And yes, they do a bell schedule. Courtney and Teresa could probably attest to that. Every year I do the bell schedule about 6 times. Now it'll be on software and they can change it. 1 hour delay, 2 hour delay, no school, you know.
Yeah,
so on and
that's
so
gonna
forth.
be made much easier.
Yeah.
Some other questions, maybe?
What? So with a cloud-based system like this, is there any redundancy in place? So like if the network goes down, how do we prevent it from taking out all the phones in the entire district?
Yeah, great question. So there's several, depending on your failure scenario, right, there's several different resiliency capabilities. So if we were to have an internet failure, there is backups that reside on site to give you a certain level of capability, right? Again, it depends on your failure scenarios. What I can tell you is based on what you have today, this will be a lot more resilient than what you have today.
Yeah, and what Mike means when he says failure scenarios, there's more than just one thing that can fail.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, we'd have to go through the 5 different failure scenarios and explain where the redundancy is for each of those, which we're happy to do at any time if you want more information.
I mean, the one
I'll
thing,
take your
the
word
one
for
thing for the phone, right, is the phones also have LTE, right?
There's some wireless capabilities, but I think there's definitely some failure, like given the internet, we get that question all the time, what happens when the internet fails, right? There is a local resiliency that exists that you can continue to make calls within district.
But there is options for LTE backup if you wanted to implement something like that, yeah. Anyone else?
So for the equipment, the Meraki and whatnot, the licensing, what kind of period are we looking at licensing?
So you can do a 3, 5, or 7. I believe we're going in at a 3, is what we put in the budget. Yeah.
Covers the first 3 years, and then after that it'll be an annual cost.
Annual cost, yep. Or again, you could re-up for
Yep.
another 3 or 5 or 7. All set? All right.
So, next steps, thank you guys. So the next steps basically is we submitted a letter of intent that we're going to apply to use our smart schools money. We're waiting for a project number. Once we get the project number from NICEN, the next step is we enter the information into that sheet that I showed you before. That's what that link is. It's only a draft. We don't submit it. We just enter it in, and that has all the details, the costs and everything. Then we do a presentation. We wanted to do a presentation tonight so that everyone understood what the Smart Bond was, what our recommendations are, so that people can digest it. And then we will actually do, once that is entered into the portal, and it's pretty quick to enter it in, we'll come back, we'll present the plan of all the information with the details. Then we post it on our district website for 30 days. The district will provide an email address so people from the community can respond. And then after the 30 days, we do a public hearing where people can continue to respond at the public hearing. And then once, if we have to tweak the plan, we do. Once it's finalized, then that information that's in the portal gets submitted. Like, we submit it, we send it, we press enter, and it goes, which is great, you know. And then a link to the process. I don't know if the whole thing will show up here, but you'll see it in the link. This basically tells you everything regarding, it's a long process, but it's not a long process. Like, so when I say it's a long process, it could take anywhere from 6 months to 18 months to be approved. We worked very closely with Mr. Sharkey, the district's architect, and we appreciate that. And the work that's being done probably will be streamlined, which is streamlined in the submission. So if they give us that, then it won't be 18 months. 18 months is like when you're really doing a lot of construction and things like that. So that's basically the process. I'll leave it up there for you. It's linked there. It just kind of tells you, and they go through the review process. Then once they review, they let the district know when everything is approved. And this, I've done smart bonds before, so it doesn't, like, when we submit it, I'm expecting, because that's just how it works, they're gonna bounce it back and they're gonna say, well, what about this, or what about that? No matter how detailed you are, they have a question, and that's okay, that's what they're supposed to do. And so as soon as it comes back, We get the information, we submit it, and it goes. Once it's all finalized, then we're approved, and then, of course, we work with the district to decide when they want to start to implement that. You're not allowed to purchase anything, of course, until anything is approved, which makes sense, but I just wanted to clarify that for everybody. So that's basically the presentation for this evening. I know I put this up before, but again, none of this could have happened without all of you here at home, and we thank you for that. And then, did you have any other questions for me or the team?
Just one more question on
Sure.
the finances, right? So you said that this grant or bond will cover the infrastructure of this plus 3 years. Do you have a sense of how does the annual rate that we would be expected to pay after that point compare to how much is currently going into
Yeah, it's a
phone systems and
subscription. Absolutely. It's a subscription like software. So you put it in your budget for subscriptions of software. We can provide that amount of how much it would cost,
Yeah, I
if that's
guess
what you're asking.
My question
Absolutely.
is how much more money per year once this new system is in place, are we
Right.
looking at more money each year needing to be
Right.
allocated towards that than we
Absol-
currently have?
Sure.
And therefore, we have to think about budget implications.
Yes. Sure.
So currently now with our phone system, how
We pay.
old it is, we pay
We
a
still pay.
tremendous amount of money to keep these things that we have now for the phone system going, because they're so old and obsolete. So it's actually gonna be cheaper at the end of the day.
But it's a very valid question, and we thank you for
Yeah.
asking that, because that's important. How are we gonna pay for it? But it would be like budgeting with everything else. And yes, and all of those details will definitely be provided to you at the next one. Great. Any other questions? All right,
No.
thank
Thank
you
you very
very
much.
much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay.
No executive session.
Okay, I'm missing that.
Are we all good with personnel? Okay. I would like to make a motion to accept personnel agenda items A, number 1 to 5, and items B, 1 to 5.
Second.
Oh, I'm just gonna recuse myself from personnel, item A through A5, for conflict of interest.
Okay. So we'll do personnel agenda items A 1 through 4 and B 1 through 5.
Okay.
And then separately A5?
Yeah. So make a motion to accept personnel agenda items A 1 through 4 and item B 1 through 5.
Second.
All in favor? And then now we'll make a motion to accept personnel agenda item A5.
Second?
All in favor? Ladies and gentlemen, about to convene to the public comment period of our meeting. Although state law does not require us to hold a public comment period, we have chosen to do so because we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns and issues. Having said that, please note the board is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed to be a discussion. Accordingly, please do not expect the school board members to respond to your concerns and questions tonight. We take your concerns and questions seriously and want to have sufficient time to process and research issues if need be. However, we will respond to your questions and concerns at a future meeting or have the proper staff member get back to you. Under state and federal privacy laws, we're unable to entertain any comment or questions about school personnel. Each speaker has 3 minutes.
We have Jill Turner.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jill Turner. I'm not going to keep you long. This is a subject that my 2 high school students have brought up with me over the past year, so I'm bringing it up with you. A few years ago, there was a huge problem with fights, vaping, and vandalism in the bathrooms here at the high school. And from what I understand, the administration's solution was to shut down and lock all the bathrooms. So now, apparently, students are not allowed to use the bathrooms between classes, and they're not allowed to use them during the first 5 minutes of class, and they're not allowed to use them during the last 5 minutes of class. So that means if a high school student needs to use the facilities during their 7 hours or so here, they need to use them in the middle of a class when teachers are trying to do the bulk of their instruction. Now, this wouldn't be such an issue if the bathrooms were accessible, but once a child gets a permission and a bathroom pass from their teacher, they need to come down, no matter where their class is, they've got to come down here to the first floor of the building. If they are a student who uses the ladies' room, there is one unlocked bathroom because it is monitored by an aide. However, if you are a student who uses the men's room, you need to come to the main office so someone can get on a walkie-talkie and request that someone else make their way to the bathroom and unlock it. I don't know how long this could possibly take, but it seems to me that valuable time is being spent searching for a usable bathroom when kids should be learning the curriculum required to pass their courses. I reached out to the superintendent and the diversity, equity, and inclusion manager a few weeks ago inquiring about how the bathroom situation is being prioritized, because when I heard that we are creating sensory rooms, I was worried that much needed aides would be moved to those rooms to monitor them. Fortunately, the DEI manager informed me that sensory rooms will be staffed in collaboration with the Mental Health Association, and no school aides or additional staff would be required. Great. But this was a relief, but I did not get an answer about how we are addressing the bathroom problem. To me, simply keeping them locked all the time has been a temporary Band-Aid, and there's been no long-term solution. I was on the school safety committee a few summers ago where parents, teachers, and board members discussed lots of potential solutions, and the one that most people thought would be the most effective would be to have more aides monitoring the halls and bathrooms so our kids can go to the bathroom when they need to without missing large chunks of class time. As our district-wide safety plan states, aides and monitors shall have responsibility for monitoring halls, lavatories, locker rooms, locker bays, and similar areas, assuring orderly passage of students and preemptive intervention in potentially disruptive situations. So my question is, where are all the aides? What are we doing to recruit them and retain them? There are so many students at the school who actually want to be in their classes. They want to get good grades. They want to play sports and be in clubs and get the most out of their high school experience. Yet we treat them like they're in a detention center. I've been looking through meeting agendas and personnel agendas from the last year, and the two things that stick out to me is seems like we have a lot of money to hire consultants, and we have a lot of people resigning. I think 2 aides are on the personnel agenda tonight resigning, and payroll person. So my questions for the board are, what is being done to address the lack of aides and unlock more bathrooms so students lose less class time? Are you evaluating why we keep losing employees? Does anyone from the board ever do exit interviews with outgoing employees or retirees to understand why they are leaving or what their experiences were like? Were they trained properly? Were they made to feel welcome? And the last thing I want to say is that way I understand equity is things are fair when everyone gets what they need. Does this board think that the school is giving all our students what they need? And when a kid has to sacrifice curriculum instruction for something as basic as going to the bathroom, I think the answer is no. So I've left my email address on the sheet. I'm giving these questions to the board clerk, the soon-to-be former board clerk, and I'm looking forward to a response, as Mr. DePace just said. I will get.
Thank you very much. Anybody else, Tracy? No.
Thank you. Okay, superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to 2025. We're off to a great start and full swing for the new year. Everyone came back very excited January 2nd, just from the holidays. There's fresh, positive energy throughout the buildings, rejuvenated minds, and we are all motivated to achieve our shared goals for the 2025 school year. On Friday, December 13th, MCSES presented their kindergarten, first and second grade winter concerts. And on Friday, December 6th, students in grades 3 to 5 performed their winter concert. The Hudson Junior High School held its winter concert on December 12th, and the Hudson Senior High has had its winter concert on December 19th. Thank you to all the amazing music teachers throughout the district. And then in between performances, I did get a chance to connect with students, community members, and families. Great news, a Hudson senior named a commended student. So Logan O'Connor, high school senior, was recently named a commended student based on his superb PSAT scores. And so a huge congratulations to Logan. How does this work? Well, to be recognized as a commended student, PSAT test takers must attain a score in the top 3 to 4% on nationwide test takers. The National Merit Scholarship Corporation hands out this meaningful acknowledgement for those students. So congratulations again to Logan. Conversations with the superintendents. These forums, they present an opportunity for residents to share and learn. So on December 19th, there was a session held at the Hudson City Department of Youth that featured a discussion on the availability of pre-kindergarten slots, early intervention services for students, summer school curriculum, and our Blue Hawk Academy. The next conversation with the superintendent session is January 16th at 6 p.m. And sessions are always the third Thursday of the month, and everyone is welcome to come out and have the conversations with me. Thank you so much, and that ends my superintendent report for tonight.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve consensus item agendas A through K.
Second.
All in favor? She didn't put it back. No, it was asking Tracy, you didn't put it back. Important date, January 21st, 2025. Facility Committee meeting, 4 p.m. in the District Office Conference Room. January 21st, 2025, Policy Committee meeting, 5 p.m. in the High School Library. January 21st, 2025, Board of Education meeting, 6 p.m. in the High School Auditorium. February 11, 2025, Board of Education meeting, 6 p.m. in the High School Auditorium. At this time, we do have a need for executive session for the purpose of proposed acquisition, sales, lease, and real property. At 7:05.
Second?
All in favor? Having no further business. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.